Hello, this is Power Panda with an introduction to my Chrono Trigger Soundtrack Expansion hack. So, Chrono Trigger is a game all of us know and love. It is one of the most beloved games of all time, with one of the most beloved soundtracks of all time. But that soundtrack, in the course of pre-releases, re-releases, soundtrack releases, there are 12 songs that are part of the overall body of work of Chrono Trigger that do not appear in the original SNES game. And so the Soundtrack Expansion project brings all of those songs together in one place and does a hack that places them within the game. Now, the first songs that we're going to listen to today are from the PlayStation and DS re-releases. They're called One Sunny Day When We Met, referring to the day when Chrono and Marl met, and A Meeting with Destiny. And in the original game, Luca and Marl kind of get a little bit shafted when it comes to music, because every character has their individual character theme, but Luca and Marl do not. Luca, her theme is known as Fanfare 1 on the soundtrack, and it's just a generalized fanfare that was used as the victory music for Chrono Cross. Marl has her music box theme, which she shares with Chrono, but whereas Chrono has his own individual theme besides the music box, Marl does not. So these two songs, I have taken the opportunity to give both Marl and Luca their own theme. So you're about to hear One Sunny Day When We Met, which becomes Marl's theme in this hack. Now, if you're playing the 2.0 version of this hack, then you will hear this song when you go to the dancing grounds. I hadn't decided to make it Marl's theme yet. And I am still working on this. So what I hope to do is have an event flag where, as Chrono and Marl are on their date at the fair, you will hear the new music. And then anytime you come back later in the game, you'll just hear the generalized fair music. I don't have that yet, so as soon as we leave this screen, we'll go back to the general fair music. Now, the next song, A Meeting with Destiny, was one of the harder ones. A Meeting with Destiny, as with all of the PlayStation and DS songs, were written in the Chrono Trigger sound font, but they weren't written according to Chrono Trigger's sound engine, or the SNES in particular. At one point in A Meeting with Destiny, there are 12 instruments playing at the same time, whereas the SNES can only have 8 at the same time. So there's been a little bit of rearrangement, but I've been pleased with the results. So here's A Meeting with Destiny, which is Luca's theme. Now, the telepod scene, where Luca invents something that is way out of sync with the technology of the time around her, was the perfect place to start this theme, because this is a peppy, futuristic song. And it seems like Luca is the one who really invented the prosperous future. These songs will also play when you talk to Luca and Marl in the End of Time. Okay, for our next songs, we are going to go to the pre-release ROM. So let me just load up another save file. In the pre-release ROM, this is a ROM sent to Japanese magazine reviewers, and it has a couple of key differences with the rest of... Actually, we're going to switch to a different one. The pre-release ROM has a couple of key differences when it comes to music. There are 4 songs that were on the pre-release ROM that were not on the others. But I forgot that I'm going to do Scattering Blossoms from the PlayStation and DS re-releases first. Scattering Blossoms becomes the theme of Mount Woe. Now I don't want to get into any battles here. Let me give you a chance to listen to the music. Scattering Blossoms was another of the ones that we remade for the SNES sound engine. So I worked with Rat-a-tat-tat to arrange these songs in MIDI format, create them in SPC files, and really do what no one had done before of putting these songs actually in an SNES game. One of my favorite parts of Scattering Blossoms is going to come in just a moment with the percussion track. I have what's known as an udu drum starting now. Oh, actually the udu drum, we put that in version 2.1. Udu drum is a really fun instrument. It's actually just a jar with a hole in it that you play. Anytime you bring it to an orchestra concert, people look so confused. But it is one of the quintessential instruments of Chrono Trigger. Okay, now we're hopping back to the pre-release ROM, and we are going to start with a favorite of everyone, which is called Keeper's Dome, known so because it played in the Keeper's Dome. So I mentioned before that there are more instruments in the 2.1 version, which is what I'm working on. That is thanks to hacker Reld, who has helped us figure out some of the volume and echo buffers that allow us to squeeze just one more instrument in per song. Okay, next one we're going to hear is an untitled chorale piece, which is probably an early version of Minoria Cathedral. It has never had a title before, it hasn't really been acknowledged before, but we were able to recover it and add it back into the Chrono Trigger ROM. I have turned it into the Sunstones theme, so it plays in the Sun Keep no matter what age you go to, and in the Sun Palace. The song is just over a minute long. Okay, next we're flying right back to where we started, and we're going to hear 2 songs that actually did make the soundtrack. So these are songs people are familiar with, they just never made it into the original game. And those are Singing Mountain, which is from a cut dungeon, and the Battle Theme 2. Singing Mountain is a beautiful song. It's reminiscent of the Studio Ghibli film Laputa or Castle in the Sky, written intentionally that way. It's always been one of my favorite Chrono Trigger songs. So once you climb up the windy slopes to Death Peak, your reward is that you finally get to hear that in the game. Now the other thing to note is that we also have the Battle 2 theme, and where do you put the Battle 2 theme? There is code that we have written that as soon as Chrono leaves your party during the game, and well, we're going to go into some heavy spoiler territory in a minute, so here's your spoiler. When Chrono dies, then that will actually change out the battle theme permanently from battle theme 1 to battle theme 2. Give your ears a little bit of a break after playing through half the game. So here is battle theme 2. Of Chrono Trigger's 2 battle themes, I've always preferred this one. And we'll start over with Singing Mountain. Okay, we're going to go to another save file to talk about another game that is on the soundtrack, which actually we're going to go to Frog's theme last. That's going to be our ending. So we're back on Singing Mountain, or on Death Peak, but we're a little bit further along. We're about to hear another of the pre-release songs called Boss Battle 3. It's really unknown why this song was cut from the game. It has been called at various times Tyran Castle or Tyranno Castle's pre-release version, but that's really only because of the slot that it occupies in the game. I don't think anyone ever thought that this was the Tyran Castle theme. So as I was saying before, some of the songs, it's clear why they were cut from the game. The untitled Chorale, which I've titled Ascending to the Light. Minoria Cathedral is just a better song. With this one, Boss Battle 2 wasn't in the pre-release, and Boss Battle 2 is for some of the larger bosses in the game. And it's a completely different song than Boss Battle 1. So Boss Battle 3 being a rearrangement of Boss Battle 1. I think it was good for them to go with Boss Battle 2 if they could only have 2 in the game, but I'm glad that we were able to restore it. Right, so next scene is heavy spoilers, but it is the key moment where we're about to hear the last of our PlayStation and DS songs, which is called A Time to Rest After the Battle. Now, in this original scene where you are using the Chrono Trigger, there was no original music. In fact, they had to do 3 different tracks to try to capture the emotion of this scene. Zeal Palace, Far Off Promise, I think Chrono Trigger. But what you're about to see is that A Time to Rest, the timing matches up almost perfectly with what's going on in the scene, and it makes a really memorable moment for the game. Here we go. After she says Chrono, that's when it will kick in. The song kind of takes the scene in a different direction, more of a quiet, contemplative one. And then the song will play until you leave the end of time. There are 2 more songs that are included in this expansion. One of them is only 15 seconds long, and I lost my save file for it. It's just it's called Unknown Fanfare or Untitled Fanfare, and it's a fanfare for a crisis situation. The last one that we're going to end with is one that was done by Redeemer665. So everyone knows Frog's theme, but in the original game it didn't have its iconic intro. Sorry for the coughing. Very happy to finally have this in the game. What I did with Frog's theme is, since we do have 2 versions in the game, one without the intro and one with, I used that to tell a story with this character. Up until this point in the game where you get him in Minoria Cathedral and elsewhere, you hear his theme without the intro. Then as soon as he picks up the legendary sword for the first time, he gets the heroic intro added to his song, and it sticks with him the rest of the game. So that's an overview of the Chrono Trigger Soundtrack Expansion project. It's been a ton of fun to work with. I've gotten to work with a lot of really talented hackers with it, and I hope that you guys enjoy it as much as I have. Thanks.